I'm Pule Molobati for Stories Untold. Thank you for choosing us as your source of information. This is the home of good news. For the next 30 minutes, we are going to relive some of the memories of our featured guest. Today, we are spending time with Linda Maponyane, who is an author, but her story is told through multiple books that she has written. Now, Linda has gone through tough and traumatic experiences and, amongst other things, being a survivor of sexual violence. Now, she has found comfort in telling her story through books, and today we are telling it on Stories Untold. This is a bit of a backstory of what happened to her.
From being a domestic worker and rape survivor, now a BA graduate and author, Linda Maponyane has a reason to celebrate. The managing director at Kinako Media House, Maponyane is celebrating 20 published books under her entity.
For me, to have been able to publish 20 books for people is a big thing. And I'm going to explain why. When I was publishing my first book, I went through the most, and I know how much it feels for an author to want to publish their book. So having to sit back and look at 20 publications for me is 20 lives that have been changed. It's 20 authors. Okay, maybe not 20 because some are repeat authors, but it's authors whose lives have been changed in such a way that they were able to take their life-changing stories, put them on ink, and take them to the people. But not only that, the hurdles that I went through are the hurdles that they don't have to go through. So in actual fact, the reason why I started Kinako Media was because of a hurdle I went through when I was publishing my first book. So the business came into the market in order to close a pain point of some sort, And in my case, I was scammed. And when people scam you, take the money and don't do the work, I looked at it and I said, nobody else should ever have to go through something like this. And that's how the business was born.
Her first successful published book, titled Shadows of My Scars, details her trials and triumphs. Writing her first book also sparked her interest in publishing, and she registered a publishing business called Kinako Media House, where she later published more than 20 books.
Not only because I'm a storyteller, but also because through my story, I actually realized that I received my healing. So as a child and as an adult 2 times or twice, I got kidnapped, robbed, and raped as a 12-year-old. Fast forward in 2011, it happened again. And that's when I decided to document my first book, Shadows of My Scars. So when I wrote this book, the journey was rough. It took me about 4 years to actually finish writing and publishing this book. Solely because it was a journey of therapy. It was therapeutic. I was in a situation where I would write and I would stop because it was going to places where I'm just like, I don't want to go here. I don't want to go here. But by the end of writing this book, I can tell you I had probably taken off, let's say if I were to count them, and I know that I'm taking a risk saying this, but if I were to count them, I would say I would have removed about 20 layers of pain. And I realized that through writing books and through storytelling, one is actually able to heal first. So by the time your book goes and heal other people, you've actually also received your own healing.
Kinako Media House prides itself by giving opportunities to aspiring authors across the country. And one happy author is Matshepo Damani, who had her first book published by Kinako Media House. She details how Linda held her hand throughout the process.
I did not know Sis Linda. I only saw their Kinako Media page on Facebook. As I said, I knew that one day I would want to write a book, and I think It took me 5 years or 4 years before I could even confront the company, as they are the publisher of my book. So I took their numbers years back on social media. Then I saved them because I knew that I would need them. And it was last year in 2021. In 2022, when I called the company and I told them I would love to launch a book, and in 2023, that's when we started with the work of publishing the book for me.
She had written a book. She had written her book, and she thought she was done. So when we met up, it was for what we call a publishing consultation. So she booked me. We met up. I looked at her manuscript, and I was able to tell when I looked at her manuscript that there's a lot that she didn't give the audience. So in my coaching to her was that she is rushing. Don't rush when you are writing. When you read a book, you don't want to feel, because books go to your emotion and to your soul. You don't want to feel like you were running. You don't want to put a book down and feel like, why does it feel like I wanted to finish somebody's lifetime in a day? But it's not necessarily because the book was calling you, but it's because the book was written in such a way that they were rushing from scene to scene, and they're from primary school, now they're in high school, now they're in varsity, and suddenly they're working, but they're not taking you through the process nicely. There's been other authors who would say, and then I got raped. And then the next chapter they say, when I got married, you're like, oh, wait. Take us through the healing. Take us through the trauma. Take us through what you were going through, how it made you feel. Did you ever fear getting married? Maybe how you can then pick up your getting married. It can be from a place where you were saying, I feared getting married. I used to think this is what's going to happen to me, and that's how I'm going to see it, etc. But lo and behold, today I'm married. So when I got married, so you teach them how to connect chapters and stories to make sense to the person who's going to be reading them.
The publishing process can be tedious for any author. Thus, Kinako Media House has a systematic approach to give authors solutions to some of the problems they come across.
I wrote the book on my own, and then when I called them, they actually said, have you typed the words yourself and all that? And I had to go through the process of typing the words and everything, and that's when now they came in. I sent them my work, and they had to go through it and to read through and to check what is it that they are supposed to do from their side in regards to editing the book itself. And yeah, that's when it started now until to the final stage. Throughout, they did assist me a lot in regards, when you are a first writer, at times you don't know how to express yourself and to say a lot of things. What I love about them and about Linda is that she held my hand. She taught me a lot of things. She would explain, she was willing also to say, if we need to meet, we're supposed to meet, fix here and there, say this, I'm not sure if I understand this, what did you want to say, and all that. So she was so present. It was my book that I wrote, but she was very present in the journey of my book, and she has helped me a lot.
Not only does Linda work closely with authors, she also gives opportunities to those who are interested in the media industry through her work integrated learning programs. And she also collaborated with Sange, which is a program that gives learners work opportunities.
We met Kinako Media in 2020. We actually needed hosting of one of our learners. So one of our team members who knows Linda Maponyane Obua from Kinako Media, from the church space, then linked us up. So this specific learner had studied public relations, but due to finances, she couldn't complete those studies. But it seemed to be a space she was very passionate about. We then saw that Kinako Media is a good fit. So Ulinda then said, yes, please, I would love to host her and give her this workplace experience or the practical learning. And that's how we then met and our relationship formed.
Nosipo details how grateful she is for the opportunity and life-changing experience that was afforded to her by Linda Maponyane.
I was then put under Linda Maponyane's Kinako Media to be one of the learners. So basically it was a learnership program. And from there I was doing admin assistant. It was administration assistant, business administration to be precise. And yeah, so after the duration of the learnership, she then absorbed me because she was like, I see potential in you and I want to harness those skills. And we worked for approximately 6, if not 8 months.
Many young people that we have worked with were fresh learners who knew absolutely nothing about PR, who knew absolutely nothing about graphic designing, who knew absolutely nothing about publishing. They come in fresh, like Batsaba assignment and submit in the next 2 weeks. Now they come in the workspace where we don't submit in the next 2 weeks, we submit in the next few hours, you know. So the positive impact I have seen has been working with young people who moved from being normal students to literally being independent workers who have moved on to other roles and other businesses, and they always call and they always chat and you know, check in and say thank you so much for this that. It is now that I realize that Kinako was actually just nudging me and preparing me for where I am now in my growth and career. Welcome back to the show. This is Stories Untold, and thank you for staying with us. Today we get to know Linda Maponyane a little bit better. She is a survivor of sexual violence, but also a very renowned author through multiple books that tell her traumatic experiences. She doesn't just do that. She went and opened her own multimedia company to help up-and-coming authors, as well as train women who have gone through similar experiences such as hers, but most importantly to empower them with employment, amongst other things as well.
What gave birth to Linda's writing career was her traumatic experience. She was sexually violated at a young age when she was coming back from church, and this tragic experience happened again in her adulthood.
So the first incident, I was 13. I was coming from church. We were preparing for a conference, and then we chilled at an aunt's place. And then after some time, I decided, you know what, let me go home to go pack for the church conference. And then on my way home, I got walked by 2 guys. I knew them. They were guys from the village. They walked me home, and the trip changed, you know, dragged me to the forest, and they raped me. And fast forward in 2011, I was coming from church yet again, and this time around I was older. I had come from preaching. I'm a pastor, and then I was dropping off one of the church members, and suddenly there was a gun on my head, and we got kidnapped and accosted to a remote area somewhere in Tembisa, and we got raped.
As a pastor and psychology student, Maponyane uses her social media platform to engage and encourage victims of sexual violence by sharing her personal experience with them. Through her testimony, many people find her to be influential and inspirational.
Her testimony actually ministered to me, and looking to what I faced and what she faced, almost common. And when I see this beautiful woman, this woman of courage, you know, strong woman, very willing to assist other women, always there, ministering the word of God, it has encouraged me that this is not only for me. I have to go even also in the world. The same way that she did to me, I have to seed the same seed that she did put on my ground. And I'm saying that, you know, it's very wonderful, pushing life, working hard. There are a lot of things that I've learned. She's a businesswoman, you know, and all those things, yet she loves the Lord. She's so grounded, and I'm learning that, because at times, as much as, you know, would flourish, we end up, you know, losing our ground and losing ourselves because of what now we have, because of the world, how it acknowledges us. But what I'm learning and what I've learned from her, it is to continue to work hard, to continue to be a blessing even to other people.
Because I kind of went through the same situation, and she was a sounding voice. You know, she was one person that was like, you know what, it happened, but you move on, you continue. So one thing I've learned was to be resilient, and she taught me to become a better person emotionally and not let what happened previously alter how I look at life going forward. And for me, when I look at her, she's a testament that God does believe in second chances.
Before I actually met her, since she was going to be a host employer, I needed to do some research on Ginago Media and also research on the founder of the company. And that's when I got to see bits of her traumatic, tragic, start in life with the abuse. And then when I met her in person, she then got to share a bit more of her story. I then also got to see that she is an author and has documented, the story and how things started. And we got to know each other on a personal level. We became friends. We went through, some challenges in our personal life over the past 4 years having met. And I got to see how from the terrible start, how she oddly, because it's not anything that I experienced, but I was just surprised at how she's come out on top, how she stays motivated, how she's able to motivate others, how she continues to have this drive to succeed, considering everything that she's been through.
Following the success of her first book, Linda found inspiration and later jotted a few memoirs that speak to her personal journey.
Then my second book was this one, My Father's Blessing. When I wrote My Father's Blessing, I wrote it, I think, about 2 years after I met my dad. I met my biological father at the age of 34. Yeah. And when I met him, this is like the weirdest thing ever. When I met him, I wanted a blessing for this book and for my life, so that the things that I am doing can reach the people through a blessing or a pronunciation from the utterances of my father's voice. His absence didn't matter to me, but what mattered is the fact that because he's my dad, his voice and his words will unlock destiny. So I went to go see him with my mom, and we walk in, we sit down, introduce, and his wife is there. My dad turns, looks at me, you'll think I'm joking, and says to me, I bless you. Then I wrote this book.
With all the success that came with her books and her publishing company, Linda attributes her victories to people around her, particularly her former teacher and mentor.
There's things you say to children at a young age that sticks in their minds, positive or negative. So Memaila used to say to me, you are such a good writer. You write so well. Whenever I read, we used to do what we call compositions and letters. So she said, whenever I read your composition, I look forward to it. And I think she just made my head grow bigger and bigger and bigger. So I'd attribute that to her. But also my life coach, Dr. Reverend Sibusiso Mfeka, who at every given point that he gets, he affirms me. He just never misses an opportunity to remind me how great I am and how much of an answer I am to many people who have a pain point of what I'm offering. So whenever I have days where I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be doing this, I remember what he said to me.
Thank you for staying with us. We are almost at the end of our show today, but we still have a bit more ground to cover here on Stories Untold. This is the part where we look at the ripple effect, right? Because we believe that when one person does good, the other person undeniably catches on and shares the goodness with other people. Now, we follow the story of Linda Maponyane, who is a survivor of sexual violence, but went on to write multiple books to share her ordeal. But not just that, also empower individuals who are seeking to overcome their own tough challenges in life through her multimedia company. Now, that impact is seen and heard through different people that we are about to meet today. Let's see.
Despite life's challenges, Linda is living the life she dreamt of as a young girl. She is a preacher, motivational speaker, and married with kids, and she hopes to take on life with a positive attitude.
I just want to see growth in her. I just want to see the manifestation of greater things in her life. I know the gift in her life, and I believe the nation is awaiting for her. And I believe if we were to give such women an opportunity, our community will be a better place.
I strongly believe she's onto something. It's really great, and I wish her nothing but the best. I know that all that she started is just it's gonna change lives. She's already changed mine.
Having seen, having read, having heard everything that she's been through, because on a lot of the talks that she gets invited to, she does share a bit of her story, but yet she can still stand up there, stand tall, stand firm, and continue to push, continue to drive. Also, I want to say continue to believe in love, because that's another factor in there.
And with that, we conclude the story of Linda Maponyane today on Stories Untold. And we extend an invitation to you. If you know of an individual with an extraordinary tale, this is definitely the platform to share those stories, because we pride ourselves with the ability to share stories of Africans who do extraordinary things. We are a platform that shines as well as put a spotlight on our unsung heroes and heroines. Today on Stories Untold, from myself, William Molobati, and the rest of the team, let's do this again, same time, same place. Goodbye.